The story begins in a dystopian America where some people call themselves volunteers and are hired to kill others. Even the government supports them. However, if you are white, Christian, or cisgender, you are completely safe living in the city. Everyone else must risk everything to save their own lives. In this way, we see a couple, Sarah and Jerry, who risk everything to save their friends, David and Zabi, in order to get them out of the city. They all run into the forest, capture a volunteer, and stay in his house. Their plan is to leave quickly as soon as they get coordinates to the nearest safe border. They keep waiting near the radio day and night for the coordinates, but for many days they have not received any coordinates. The next day, when David and Jerry return to the apartment after fishing, Jerry sees that there is very little food left. It seems not enough to him, so Sarah says she will go to the city to get more food. She then goes into the jungle, takes a hidden car, and leaves from there. When Sarah is driving her car on the road, a man sees her car and runs toward the jungle. Sarah notices him, but she doesn't stop and continues her journey. After going some distance, she comes across a volunteer checkpoint where two officers check her car's documents and her identity. When they don't find anything unusual, they allow her to proceed. As soon as Sarah arrives in town, we see that the whole town is empty, except for a few people. Then Sarah goes to a supermarket to buy some supplies. But at that moment, an announcement is made saying, "From now on, everything can only be purchased with a valid citizen card. Cash will not be accepted." After buying the items, when Sarah is returning to her apartment, she doesn't see anyone at the checkpoint. She gets out of the car and starts clearing the way herself, but then she hears someone screaming from the direction of the jungle. Hearing the noise, Sarah pulls out her gun and rushes toward the jungle, where she sees the same two guards at the checkpoint beating a man, the same man she had seen when she was going to the city. Seeing this, Sarah sneaks up from behind and points her gun at one guard, telling them to stop. But the guard turns and attacks her, making her gun fall. Still, Sarah defends herself and kills both guards. Meanwhile, Zabi and David notice a drone in the sky, which makes them nervous. At that moment, Sarah arrives in the car and tells them that there is an injured man inside and asks for their help to get him inside quickly. David and Sarah together carry the man inside, but Jerry sees him and asks, "Who is this man?" But Sarah didn't answer him. Then Sarah tells David to treat the man's wounds and tells Zabi to take the car away immediately, saying that someone might be following. Hearing this, Jerry asks again for Sarah. "What exactly have you done, and who would be following?" Meanwhile, Zabi quickly drives the car away and hides it in the jungle. At night, when all the friends are sitting together, they tell Sarah that maybe they should leave this place and go hide somewhere safer. But Sarah says that since they trust her, they should stay here for a little longer. So reluctantly, everyone agrees to follow Sarah's advice. The next morning, when the man wakes up, Zabi and David are with him, and they talk to him. Then the man tells them his name is Martin. After that, David brings him coffee, and Martin thanks Sarah and everyone else for saving his life. He also says that he will leave soon because he does not want to be a burden to anyone. But Sarah says, "You are not a burden." Hearing this, Jerry angrily leaves the place. After that, Sarah tells Martin about her radio, which they use to receive signals, and she says, "This is our lifeline. Through it, we get the coordinates." Meanwhile, on the other side, the drone reaches the guards' bodies, which alerts the police to investigate. At night, David and Martin are talking to each other. Then Martin notices a picture of some soldiers in a frame and asks, "Who are they?" Just then, Zabi comes in and changes the topic. After that, Zabi says, "I'm going to feed the dog." Hearing this, Martin asks, "You all have a dog too?" Then Martin takes food and goes outside with Zabi. When they get there, he sees that there is no dog but a man whose name is Victor. Both of them give him food from a distance. Then Victor asks them for water, so Zabi tells Martin, "Throw a bottle of water to him on the ground from a distance." Martin does exactly as she says. Victor then asks Zabi, "Who is this new fool with you?" In response, Zabi tells Victor that if he wants food, he shouldn't speak in that language anymore. As they leave, Martin asks Zabi about the man. She explains, "This is a volunteer's property, and it's a no-fly zone, so we stay here in this man's house." Hearing this, Martin is amazed and says, "This is his house?" Then Zabi says, "We will not harm him. We just need him. We stay here, and when we leave, we will let him go." At that moment, Sarah comes outside and angrily says, "We are on lockdown right now. Go inside quickly." So Zabi and Martin quickly go back into the apartment. The next day, David and Jerry quietly go and take the food from the car, which Sarah had brought from the city. At night, when Victor is sleeping, he hears music and gets up to look out of the window. On the other side, David and the others are playing cards and music is playing. Then Martin goes to join them and starts playing too. While playing, he begins to dance. But because of his injury, he feels pain, so Jerry quickly stops the music. Then a broadcast comes on the radio, but they do not get any coordinates. Seeing David drinking a lot of alcohol, Sarah says, Today you will not sit near the radio. Hearing this, David asks, then who will sit in my place? So Martin replies, I will sit. But David says, you still have a lot to learn. Then Jerry says, I will teach him everything. You go and rest. After that, Jerry explains the radio to Martin and says, you'll need to pay attention. If we receive any coordinates that can help us leave this country, tell us immediately so that we can all get out of here. After saying this, Jerry goes away to sleep. On the other side, when Zabi goes to give Victor his evening food, she shows him a cigarette and says, I promised to give this to you, but because you were rude to my friend, you will not get it. Then Victor says, your friend really is a fool. After that, Victor talks about Sarah and says, you will have to stop that bald woman from trying to kill me. If she wants to ask anything, she can ask anyway. Zabi replies, we will treat you properly. Hearing this, Victor angrily says, treat me properly? I'm locked up in my own house like a prisoner. As Zabi leaves, she tells Victor, if you behave the way you speak, that's exactly what will happen to you. Meanwhile, Martin had fallen asleep sitting by the radio all night. In the morning, he hears someone speaking on the walkie-talkie. So he quickly goes to Jerry's room to give him the walkie-talkie. Then Jerry sends Martin back to the radio and talks himself on the walkie-talkie. A man tells him, we are near your house and coming that way. Hearing this, Sarah wakes everyone up and tells them to hide in the basement. She also tells Jerry, you spoke on the walkie-talkie. Now you will act as Victor so that the volunteers think you are him. Hearing this, Jerry quickly goes to Victor's room, while Sarah goes to the radio room, takes the radio, and hands it to Zabi. Then she picks up a knife and goes toward Victor. But Victor hears the sound of a car and starts shouting, so Sarah quickly grabs him and tells him to stay quiet. On the other side, the volunteers ask Jerry, are you Victor? Jerry says, yes. Did I make any mistake? Then the volunteers tell him, quickly take your things and come with us. Someone has killed 2 of our people, and we will not let them live. Hearing this, Jerry goes with them, but everyone in the basement hears everything they say. After they leave, Sarah quickly comes to everyone and asks, why hasn't anyone plugged in the radio again? David says, we should follow Jerry, otherwise they will kill him. But Sarah says, there is no need to get emotional. We should do our work. Jerry will come back himself. Hearing this, David leaves. Then Zabi sees the knife with Sarah and asks her, what did you do with Victor? Sarah says, nothing. I just made him stay calm. On the other side, David runs and reaches the hidden car so that he can follow Jerry, but Martin arrives and stops him. At the same time, Zabi picks up a photo of Victor's family and goes to him. She says, forgive me. I won't let Sarah do something like that again. But Victor responds, that bald woman will never listen to you. Zabi then says, I've never seen a picture of your family before. Hearing this, Victor gets up and starts looking at it. Zabi puts the picture down and begins to leave. Seeing this, Victor tells her, if you bring me a beer, I'll forgive your friend. Meanwhile, Sarah is at the radio but doesn't receive any coordinates, so she starts shouting angrily. Zabi hears her screams while taking a beer from the fridge for Victor. But seeing Sarah's anger, she doesn't take the beer for Victor this time. In the evening, David, Sarah, and Zabi are sitting together when Sarah gets angry at David and says, because of you, we could have gotten into danger. Don't ever do anything like this again. At that moment, they hear the sound of a car, so they quickly blow out the candle. After a little while, Jerry comes inside. He looks very tired, and his hands are covered in blood. He says, we are now facing a very big problem. After that, Zabi brings beer for Victor, and Victor becomes quite happy when he sees the beer. On the other side, Jerry tells Sarah that the number of volunteers has increased a lot, and they haven't received any signal for months, so they should leave now. He says it seems like this mission is about to end, but Sarah replies that they promised David and Zabi they would help them cross the border, and that's exactly what they'll do. Meanwhile, when Zabi is with Victor, Victor tells her about his past, how he worked in the army to support his family. But David, looking out the window, starts wondering why Zabi went to Victor at this time. Then Zabi asks Victor why he decided to become a volunteer. Victor says that after his wife died, he felt lonely, and he wanted to protect his country from outsiders. That's why he joined the volunteers. Hearing this, Zabi quietly leaves. But as soon as she reaches the room, David asks her why she came after so long. Zabi replies, just 4 beers I drank with Victor. That's why I was a little late. Hearing this, David yells at her angrily, what are you doing? Have you gone mad? That dog is messing with your head, and you want to use him. Zabi answers, it's not like that. He's not that bad. And from now on, we won't call him a dog. He has a name, Victor. We'll call him by that name. But David refuses and says, don't try to change him. I hate him. Hearing this, Zabi says, I hate the volunteers more than you do. They killed my whole family, but I still believe there are some good people in the world, and I am also part of this world. After saying this, David walks away. The next morning, when Zabi is going to give Victor his breakfast, David and Jerry arrive angrily and tell Zabi that from today she must not feed that dog anymore because they are leaving here this evening. Maybe you don't want that, but you will have to do it. Then Jerry hands a gun to Zabi and says, Kill that dog and come inside quickly for the meeting. Zabi goes to Victor and says, I don't know how I'll save you. Victor tries to reassure Zabi and says, do you trust me? Set me free. I promise I will take you to the other side of the border. If you don't release me, they will kill me. Sometime later in the meeting, Sarah tells Jerry that they won't leave. She asks how many times she has told him they need to stay a little longer. Jerry, furious, replies that this time they are in great danger, and she doesn't understand how dangerous those people are. They are far worse than you think, he says. When I went with them, we found people attempting to cross the border who had been chained and dragged behind their vehicle, and then they set them on fire. Hearing this, everyone became very upset. Jerry then says he even had to kick a woman in the face so she wouldn't suspect him. Soon Martin arrives there, and Jerry angrily tells him, David and I have decided you must leave from here. David tells Martin, your pictures are everywhere. You're a threat to us. You have to go. Jerry starts to leave angrily, but Zabi stops him and says, Jerry, I have a plan. Victor is willing to help us because he knows this place very well, but you must let him go alive. Hearing this, Jerry angrily tells Zabi, tonight either come with us or stay here with your friend Victor, and then he walks away. Martin also begins to pack to leave, but Zabi runs after him and asks, where are you going? Now you too are part of our little family. Still, Martin refuses to listen and says, I am a danger to all of you. I shouldn't stay here. Don't stop me, please. And with that, he walks toward the forest. After that, Zabi goes to Victor and says, those people will never trust you. Victor replies, but you can trust me. I won't betray you. Hearing this, Zabi lowers the gun, steps closer, and says she will call him over, but warns him not to run toward the hills and not to attack the house. He must stay here. When I come back with my friends, they will see you here and believe you didn't betray them. Victor says he will do that. So Zabi opens his hand and walks toward her friends to bring them here. But when she reaches David, he is packing his things. David says to Zabi, you still haven't killed that dog. He then grabs the gun from Zabi and says they must erase their traces. Zabi becomes angry at him and replies, look at yourself, David. What kind of person are you? You want to kill someone with a gun in your hand? On the other side, while Sarah is waiting by the radio for a signal, Jerry comes to her and says they need to leave. But Sarah refuses to listen, so Jerry tries to force her to go with him. Sarah pushes him back, but suddenly her nose starts bleeding. Seeing this, Jerry becomes completely panicked and tries to calm her down. Then Sarah begins to see visions from the past of herself, Jerry, and their child living happily together in their home. Meanwhile, Zabi is still trying to stop David from killing Victor. But just then, she hears Jerry's screams and runs toward them in a hurry. David, however, in anger, picks up the gun and goes to shoot Victor. While Zabi is trying to bring Sarah back to consciousness, they hear the sound of gunfire. Jerry sends Zabi to check, but before she arrives, David has already shot and killed Victor. Jerry also arrives soon after and asks David to hand over the gun, but in his distress, David turns the gun on himself and takes his own life. Seeing this, Zabi completely breaks down, but Jerry comforts her and takes her away with him. On the other side, when Sarah regains consciousness and comes downstairs, she hears a man's voice on the walkie-talkie asking for Victor, wanting to know why there was gunfire in his area. When Jerry arrives, he sees that Sarah is awake and reassures her, telling her that everything will be fine and not to worry. But then over the walkie-talkie, the volunteers send their teams to inspect the area. Hearing this, Jerry responds that he also heard the gunfire and is on his way. Sarah becomes very worried, but Jerry tells her, I'll handle the volunteers. You and Zabi take the truck and head toward the border. Before leaving, Jerry tells Zabi to take care of Sarah, but just then, the volunteers' cars arrive. Zabi quickly takes Sarah with her and escapes through the back door, while Jerry washes his face and steps outside to avoid raising suspicion. The volunteers begin searching every corner of the house. Jerry greets their leader politely and says, thank you for coming, then invites them inside. The volunteers' leader asks him where the gunfire came from, so Jerry replies, I was playing a video game at full volume. I didn't hear anything. Hearing this, one of the men says he wants to search the place, but Jerry distracts them with conversation. Soon after, another volunteer returns and says, we've checked everything, but didn't find anything. Their leader, however, insists, we'll need to search the entire area. On the other side, while Sarah and Zabi are running away from the volunteers, Sarah suddenly falls to the ground. But Zabi helps her up and takes her along toward the forest, where both of them find their hidden car and drive away from there. During this time, the group leader asks Jerry about the warehouse, what's inside it. Jerry lies, but they become suspicious. So Jerry tries to grab a volunteer's gun, but the others overpower and capture him. On the other side, Zabi and Sarah reach a volunteer checkpoint, and there they see that Martin has also been caught. The volunteers ask Zabi for the car's documents and order her to stay here. Then Sarah takes the gun from Zabi and tells her, "When you get the chance, take Martin and get out of here." After saying this, Sarah steps out of the car and hides nearby. As the volunteers check the documents, they grow suspicious of Zabi and tell her to step out of the vehicle. But just then, Sarah appears from behind and holds one of the volunteers at gunpoint, ordering the others to follow her. While most of them move away, one man stays behind to keep an eye on Zabi. At that moment, Martin hits that man on the head with a stone, killing him instantly. Then he quickly gets into the car with Zabi, and the two drive away from there. Shortly after, they hear the sound of gunshots behind them, but they keep driving ahead without stopping. On the way, Zabi remembers David and breaks down crying. The next morning, they finally cross out of the danger zone, and with that, the movie comes to an end. So friends, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye.